Out of the Georgia State Capitol, where we are going to learn a little bit more about a hearing to explore a flat tax proposal here in the state of Georgia. Deidre Dukes standing by to discuss this with us because, Deidre, I understand this final report on a flat tax rate is ready to be presented to state lawmakers. What would this mean for Georgians?
That's right. The committee that was tasked with coming up with this proposal that'll be presented to the Georgia legislature when the session convenes in next week, actually. They really hope to, their plan anyway, is to eliminate Georgia's state income tax. And on the surface, that sounds like a great idea, but as you can imagine, not everyone is on board with that. The Republican-led committee did pass the final proposal today with the objection of the 3 Democrats on the panel because they had some concerns about how this would all play out. Now, under the proposal, every taxpayer in Georgia would see some sort of tax relief. Starting in 2027, about 2/3 of taxpayers would no longer owe state income tax. Families making less than $100,000 a year would see the biggest benefit, and other families and businesses would see their state income tax drop over time, with the goal of getting them to zero by taking steps to reduce Georgia's business income taxes and eliminate Georgia's state income tax altogether by 2032. Now, backers of the plan say eliminating the state income tax would not require the state to cut services or raise the sales tax. Here's more on how the committee chair, Senator Blake Tillery, said Georgians would benefit.
It eliminates the income tax on the first $50,000 for all Georgians if you're single, for $100,000 if you're a married family filing jointly. So if you're making $1 million, your first 100 is untaxed. If you're making $101,000, your first 100 is untaxed. You're only taxed on the 1,000. If you're making $99,000, then the effect is it does away with your income tax for 2/3 of Georgians, 64%.
And again, the goal, Republican lawmakers do say, is to eliminate Georgia's state income tax by 2032 if a bill, again, which they plan to introduce this legislative session, if that bill is passed out of both chambers and then goes on to Governor Kemp's office for his signature. So it would have a long way to go. And of course, there'll be some lengthy debate in both the Senate and the House chambers as to how this would all play out, as to whether or not this bill will even make it out of the chambers, would pass next session for that final passage by the governor for his signature. But Democrats, in fact, those who were on the panel, they did say that they had some concerns, including, they say, the fact that they are concerned that they'll ultimately have to cut other services, state services that they say are already underfunded in order to make this a reality. And so they have some concerns as to that. No doubt this is going to see a lot of debate, and we could see this actually introduced, Ariel, as a bill within the first few weeks of the session.
Wow, Deidre, you know, this is a really interesting proposal. I think a lot of people would probably hear no state income tax, yippee. But as you take a look at it, understanding, okay, well, what services or programs am I used to that I would be giving up? Where is the state going to get extra money? All questions I'm sure that this panel looked at, maybe in their recommendations, but something that I think we're going to explore further as this gets debated within the legislature.
Yeah, that's right. And one of the areas where the committee said that they can draw money, and again, Republicans for this, Democrats on the panel against it, but the Republicans are saying that one of the areas where they can take some money away to kind of balance this out would be to dial back on the tax incentives, say, for data centers and for film industry benefits that we've seen used a lot by members of the film industry here in Georgia, the tax incentives they receive to shoot films in Georgia. By saying, you know, cutting back on some of those tax benefits, they can make up a lot of the money that would otherwise, you know, equate to a shortfall if we were to eliminate the state income tax altogether.
Good points, Deidre. I always appreciate our conversations, you making sense of this for us. I have no doubt you're going to keep us updated as lawmakers debate the future of this proposal. So thanks so much for joining us live there from the state capitol grounds. We really appreciate you.